When we found what's happening in our university systems, now this is something new, and I ask you to go to the Blaze and read about it. This is something new. When we found out about this this group that comes out of the University of Syracuse and what they're doing, reimagining American history, I want you to think about this. The instruction to the professors that are involved in this is, if you could reimagine American history and you could do it and anchor it in the collective truth of the future, what would American history be like? So what they're doing is they're taking some events, but they're not pegged to the truth of American history. They just need to take the events and then write them in the framework of what they want to happen in the future. Now, let me give you an example. The Titanic, the first time the Titanic movie was made overseas, it was made, and it was made to look like the capitalists were really, really bad. And there was a first mate on this ship that no
gopher.
one, yeah, he was a gopher, yeah. And he was, and nobody would listen to him. And he was trying to tell everybody, we shouldn't take off. There's icebergs. We've got to slow down. But all of the capitalists underneath were trying to, gin up the stock market to make more money. And even the captain was this capitalist, and the captain was like, no, I can get bonuses if I go faster. And he's like, no, you have to understand, we're all going to die because you're being irresponsible here. And when they hit the iceberg, he goes into the radio room and he tries to radio for help, but the capitalist had destroyed the radio. And when he goes down to the lower decks, the capitalists are locking everybody down underneath the ship, and he's trying to get them all out. Okay, there's just one guy who was the good guy. Well, who was the good guy? The good guy didn't exist. He was never on the Titanic. Never on the Titanic. He was a German. Who made this film? This film, in its day, cost way, way more than James Cameron ever spent on Titanic. It took years to produce this, and you can go watch it on YouTube. The Titanic, produced by Goebbels. Goebbels was a filmmaker. He wasn't a master of propaganda. That wasn't on his business card. He didn't show up and say, hey, I'm a master of propaganda. He showed up and said, hey, I can help you. I'm a filmmaker. And he was a frustrated filmmaker because he couldn't get people to listen to him. But once he was the minister of propaganda, everybody had to listen to him. And so they made this film and they put it out, and it was the first one to actually really use effectively history, and then you'll play loose with facts to make the point of what you want the future to learn. That's exactly what this group is doing in Syracuse University. Exactly, word for word. They are following the Goebbels mantra, and they're following the pattern from Goebbels. And I know that's horrible to say, but it's absolutely true. And if you read anything on what Goebbels did, just look it up. I'm telling you, it'll be a wormhole for you. You'll get into, just look up Goebbels Titanic Nazi Germany, and it will be a wormhole. You'll end up watching the movie, and then you'll end up learning more about him, and you'll see, and then you'll start saying, oh my gosh, it is exactly what they're doing with now the U.S. Department of Arts and Culture. And they want to point out, it's not an official arm of the government yet. Quote, but it could be. Oh, it will be. It will be.
It's like, it's not necessarily, obviously, it doesn't mean you're going for the same ends as the Nazis were, but the doctors use things they learned from Mengele all the time. When they look back at that era, and it's...
So I'm doing a special on, I'm doing a special on the Black Stork.
Oh, yeah.
And The Black Stork was an American film long before Goebbels. And it was to show anybody who, I mean, when you see it, at least I did, I cried. I cried through it because they're showing these, these deformities, these children with no reason to live. And they're showing people with cerebral palsy. They're showing people with Down syndrome. I mean, and it's horrifying. And it was an American movie. So they got it from us. All of this stuff came from us. So don't tell me that you're not following the Nazis. Okay, you're not following the Nazis. The Nazis were following us. They were following us. Goebbels said in his own diaries, everything we learned, the reason why we lost World War I is because the Americans had better propaganda than we did. We learned it from them. He was studying Bernays. So don't tell me about how we're not following the Nazis. Right, okay, fine. You're following the early 20th century progressives, which taught the Nazis everything. And that's not Glenn Beck saying it. That's history until you change it. Those are the facts of history. But if you look at the people who are involved in this project, and you can see this now, it's a story up on the Blaze, front page of the Blaze, and it was last night's episode, and I beg you to pay attention.